it there? So it is to protect community rights and individual rights. Now, when there is a dispute between community rights and individual rights, the court has to see, because the importance has to go to the community rights. So when there is a dispute or conflict between that what has to be upheld, community rights are given more weightage for an obvious reason. Because if that is not given weightage, unless and until that is a violation of your fundamental rights given in the Constitution. Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution gives freedom of expression, but it is limited, it is restricted by 19(2), which has detailed, even, let's say, you cannot criticize a judgment to the extent it may attract contempt of court. So there are reasons and there are areas which you need to see. You need to see that if I say this sentence, if I write this sentence on the web, will it amount to contempt of court? Will it amount to something which would jeopardize safety and security of the nation? So all of these you got to see. So it's better you read out 19(1)(a). Probably Wikipedia might like to keep, put this Article 19(1)(a) and Article 19(2), that look, whatever you say on the web, you got to see that it's not violating this.
On the one hand, you're saying the court says that, and has in the latest reference said that Wikipedia is not reliable. If it is not reliable, how can anything said on it be a contempt?
Right. Sure enough. The contempt, the moment you say something against something. Now this is a definite statement. It is not an information. The court is not relying on the information given by the Wikipedia.
I don't know if such a page exists, but it's quite possible that such a page may exist. As you are well aware, Shanti Bhushan and Prashant Bhushan have issued an actual a document which is in fact filed in court, which accuses the Supreme Court justices of irregularity.
Absolutely.
Which has been regarded by the Supreme Court as a contempt of court.
Sure.
Why that page exists on Wikipedia as a contempt of court?
That page would not be contempt of court. That's an information, because there is a difference between the two. That's why I was going to say, Wikipedia, as long it continues to be a reporter, it is a reporting. You're not giving an opinion. But if you say that I don't believe in this, and fortunately that line, there is a line which you are not, which Wikipedians are not crossing, because as all of you, majority of the speakers have said, it is only projecting a neutral point of view. So you're not saying that I'm siding with this opinion. So as long as, this in Indian map situation, as long as you say that this, look, in fact, I don't know why there is so much hue and cry, because if you look at the UN, if you go to the UN office, United Nations office, you'll find that Indian map is exactly the way it is here on that page. And I wrote personally letters to MEA, External Affairs Ministry. Nobody responded to it. Nobody cares. But the idea is, see, that's a reality. But the problem is that as long as you are only giving information, it is fine. But the moment you opinionate, you give an opinion of yours, you say that, look, I think this is the correct situation of Kashmir. You're nobody to say that. Wikipedia is nobody to say that. You're only giving information.
You mean the government has not said anything about doing that?
No, nothing. See, in fact, that's not the scope of my talk, but then Kashmir problem, is a mastermind of Nehru. You may not be aware. Nehru was approached by Karn Singh's father, prior to the, probably Bikram would know, and there was some attack by Pakistan, and then he came to, wanted to get merged in India. Nehru told him that go and seek the opinion from your people. Do they also want to come to India? It's written. It's a documented history. That paper exists in the archive. So Nehru said these words. That's what Pakistan is saying today to everybody. That we must seek opinion of the Kashmiri people, whether they want to go to India or not. So what I'm saying, there are problem areas.
But please remember that includes the people of POK who definitely don't want to be in Pakistan.
Sure. So, as long as you are protecting the rights of one vis-a-vis the other. So it controls, it balances out the rights of one individual vis-a-vis the other's right. That is the duty of the law, that is the duty of the government, that is the duty of the parliament. Now, it's like somebody said, hey, I would say this. You would say this, but this is violating somebody else's right. So there is somebody who is getting affected. The Constitution is as much there to protect out your right as much as to the other rights. So there has to be a balancing act. First item in the checklist, personal interest of any nature, like direct pecuniary interest, like writing a review of a product you are interested in. You must not do that. So if it is established that what you're writing out there, you have a direct pecuniary interest, that is financial gain interest. You're appreciating your own product. Then you write something out for your own fame and name. You say that I'm this, I'm that, I'm Guinness World record holder, and I'm so popular. But that's if that is unsubstantiated, if it is not provable by you, if you don't give references, you must not do that. Business promotion, you must not do that on Wikipedia. Thankfully, Wikipedia has an inbuilt feature to take care of such a problem on such occurrences. Second item in the checklist, crimes against the state and community, like presenting the India map in a way different than what government stand is. If you give just information that this is what the world is saying and this is what government of India says, you're fine. But if you only give the world information, not the government of India, there is a problem. Blasphemous writings, hate speeches capable of disrupting communal harmony, siding with banned organizations like Maoist, fundamentalist, advocating for a banned book, or advocating for an illegal activity, gambling. You say these are the places where gambling happens, and if gambling is banned, you are in problem. Showing disrespect to Indian flag, constitution, currency, etc., they are all need not to be done. Currency as well. If you're presenting wrong and misleading and unverified information resulting in somebody's loss, some loss to the state, then that's a problem areas.
What is the definition of blasphemy?
See, blasphemy, when you say, it's a very, it's like you write something out which would hurt somebody's religious sentiments.
It's a blasphemy. That's different. That's hate speeches.
Blasphemous, let's say you write something against the Muhammad. You criticize in a way which is not acceptable to the community.
But that is not defined anywhere in the
It has to be defined. You're saying something very vague.
No, blasphemous when you say, like, in fact, I would come to that point, that why I'm saying this. See, the problem area is that when, like these rules, which you have seen, intermediary rules which have been framed by the government. Now, there are many things, because the origin of the law, there are hierarchy. The constitution is the grand norm, the primary source of law. So any law which is made by the government has to be in conformity with the constitution. Any rules thereafter must be in conformity with the laws. So the intermediary rules, they are not, a good portion of that are not in conformity with the law. But unfortunately that mentions blasphemous writings, so I got to write it. Unless that rule is done away with, or some court gives a ruling to declare it null and void, you must not do anything of that sort.
as I said, for instance, the Constitution has this thing about your constitutional duty is to follow scientific temper and things like that. Now that would bring you down, and I can think of scientific statements which can be blasphemous under a certain interpretation. So this would actually
True. See, blasphemous so far, I searched hard. Yesterday I was searching hard when I saw this intermediary rules. I didn't find any definition so far. So it's a vague area, and these vague areas are, if they're fixed, things become good for the normal ordinary citizen.
I think that's why you made your first slide, which said that the laws are created in order to benefit certain power groups.
That's right.
See, as far as blasphemy is concerned with the rules, there's nothing in the law, nothing in any act which says that you can't write something which is blasphemous.
No, see, the idea is, the idea there is that as long as it is not causing a harm of a cognizable size, it is fine. In fact, if you look at the intermediary rules, you were talking about on that yesterday. If anybody is religiously following that, you can't live your life. You can't write anything on the web.
But it is a rule, it's not an act.
That's right.
Law act defines what is blasphemous. So how am I to know what is blasphemous?
But the rule has its genesis in the law, the IT Act.
IT Act doesn't talk about blasphemy.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I said that there are many things in these intermediary rules which you can go to a court against and procure an order.
Whether everything is coded or not, that is not necessary, but that should be fair and equitable. That fair and equitable justice should reach to the seeker. Is it like that?
Fair and equitable justice should reach to?
Like as you said, if it is not coded, even if it is not coded into law also, then there should be, as you are telling, it should be the thing of fair and equitable justice.
Right. But then at the end of the day, it is left out to judicial interpretation. Then what will that be? There is scope for judicial interpretation there.
See, yesterday when we talked about the process by which these things are done,
Right.
that was in an open discussion with a larger group, in fact, this here. The point was that when the laws are framed, there is a laid down process, and even that laid down process, because we are a representational democracy, does not require them to be referred to the larger community. But what is much worse, what is much more insidious, is the framing of rules. Now, in this particular case, the draft rules were in fact publicized. Okay, it wasn't necessary for the ministry to publicize them, but they were publicized, and the ministry did invite representations. Now, I'm one of the people who put in a representation, but as it happens, it was completely ignored, and the rules were then codified exactly as the draft was created, which means that they did not take into account the responses of the community at all, and there is nothing but to go to court, which is an incredibly expensive affair for somebody like me to be able to go and challenge those rules. So
In fact, just to add to that, in one of the seminar I asked Kapil Sibal about it. I said that if somebody sends an email to you, why can't you give a reference number? So that at least he has some idea that who received, when received, what received. I can go back to you and I ask on what grounds you did not accept my suggestion, right? But then the government machinery is government machinery. At least in today's time, they are more open than in your young age. Still, you are young enough. I'm not hinting at that. But what I'm saying that the government is gradually, in fact, they have no option but to open up. They will open up. They're opening up. The revolutions, IT revolution is just helping the government to open up.
We need to wrap up in another
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay.
We are going to start the closing ceremony.
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay, sure. That's okay. Now, third in the checklist is individuals. A crime against an individual which you can't get prosecuted unless complained. So somebody has to complain against you, like defamation. So there has to be somebody who has to go to the police station and file a complaint there, and to the magistrate, and then file a complaint there. Then only an FIR will get lodged against you. Writings intended to outrage modesty of a woman, copyright, trademark violation, direct criticism, condemnation of a judgment, privacy rights. Now, in privacy rights, something which is done privately. Now, there were a couple sitting on the Marine Drive. Now, they were quite intimate. So, if you click their pictures and if you post on the web, it would not qualify to be a violation of privacy. It's a tough statement which I am giving, but this will not qualify. Privacy has to be done privately. If you're doing publicly, it is open. Income from ads displayed on a copyrighted content. So that is a problem area. And it was a point of judgment as well. Check retrieving and displaying information from a website without proper references. Retrieving and displaying information from a linked commercial site that has advertising frames without displaying the site's advertisements along with the retrieved document. So you've got to be very, very careful. So if you're copying something, there were advertisements there, you've got to be copying that as well. Linking to illegal files. For example, Lycos developed a database of music and video available on the web. However, since many of the sites in the database had bootlegged copies, Lycos was taken to court for providing links to these sites.
Yeah, I think this particular instance, Google's its automatic search engine often links to illegal stuff. So Google was taken to court and they said that they can't actually do anything about it. And Google said you have to each of them would have to apply under DMCA specific.
True. But then this case is still not decided. And you never know. If it comes to Indian court, then what would be the decision? You never know. Indian courts behave in a very different way. Intellectual property rights, trade secret protection, copyright protection, trademark protection, patents. I don't have much time. I have been only given 5 minutes. A copyright is an end in itself. Copyright is of something. Trademark is not of something. Trademark has to be indicative to something. So when you say a line, it's like any line which you use an advertisement for a product. That line is a trademarked line. It can't be copyrighted. Okay. So it has to be indicative to some product, some service. Copyright, a lot of people have said, it's like